time. Well, when I was born and I've never told the story in front of a pink backdrop. After the 1965 Hart-Celler Act and then 9, where there wasn't a subway access, a Chinese dude wearing a ball cap. And then that was my experience. Good morning, everyone. I'm Larry Wiggs. I'm in Los Angeles. This is iSee109. Do you see 109? If you do, I'll make it better so you can see it. So the story goes, 109 is my birthday. That was the first time. Well, when I was born and when I was a kid, I didn't even care for 109. It didn't register with me. And then all throughout my life, 109 just kept popping up. And as of late, I've been collecting 109. I've been collecting photos of 109. Like, I see it here, I see it there. It's everywhere. And it's interesting because 109 has always been there. I just never noticed it. That's what I'm saying. When I was younger, I didn't notice it. But these days, I really notice it. It stands out. It's because the number represents the universe to me. I mean, it is my birthday, but it also represents the universe. Nikola Tesla thought that 369 represented the magical nature of the universe. But for me, 109 represents everything for me. 1 is God. 1, 0, and 9, if you add it up, becomes to 10. And then 1 plus 0 equals 1. And you got God right there. 109, the number 9. 9 is the highest number or the highest level of completion. So it's the highest level one can achieve before one starts the cycle all over again. The 0 as a placeholder, that's the cycle. That's the cycle of life. So 1, 0, and 9 has everything in there. It has the cycle of life, it has God, and it has the highest level of change, the highest level of development, the highest level. Why am I talking about 109? Because story goes, like, I've been traveling the world. I haven't traveled recently, but I was traveling the world and I just kept running into 109. Sometimes I would just run into 10, sometimes I would just run into 9, and then other times I would see 109. Like, someone literally wrote on the wall. Like, if I wrote 1, 0, and 9 on this wall, that wouldn't be cool. They have cameras around here probably. I don't see any cameras actually. I could probably get away with it. But I would like find myself in certain places and they'd have like 109 on the wall. And I'd be like, yo, that's wild. And the fact that I noticed it, the fact that I noticed 109 on a wall, a door, somewhere, like, there's a story behind that. It's because 109 is my birthday, but then it's also because 109, because it was there. Now, I'm not talking about if you're walking down a hallway and it's 101, 102, 103, 104, and you expect to see 109. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, let's say we're on the second floor and the room numbers are all listed like 200, 201, 202, 203, 204, 205. And then somewhere out of the blue, you see 10 and 9. That's essentially exactly what happened to me when I was in Ethiopia. So I was walking down the hallway. I've told this story many times before. And I've never told the story in front of a pink backdrop. I've never told the story in front of a pink backdrop like this. And the other thing is, there's no reason why I should tire of telling this story, because the circle of life, or maybe it's that way, the circle of life, that's important, because we keep going in circles. Things keep happening, and that's important. That's what's really important. The circle of life, the things that happen. Like, here's something to think about. When I was coming up, I was listening to a lot of hip hop, a lot of rappers, and the rappers were talking about the same things. They were talking about the same things like all the time. It was always they were talking about, they say, money, hoes, and clothes. They'd make an album, they'd go and they'd rap about it, and then they come back, and then it was the same thing over again. It was a newer version, but it was the same thing, same topics. Nothing really changed. It was always money, hoes, and clothes. Really? So what's the difference with me? It's always 109. I have the gospel of 109. So the guy, I was at Little Ethiopia, which is right over there, yesterday, and I was talking. Shout out to Christian Lee. Congratulations on all your success. He's a young guy, and he's, man, oh my gosh, the type of achievements that he's garnered at this point in his life, to be so young. His next step is he's going to Cornell University. He was at UCLA. He was at UCI. I think he's like a second generation, because his mom showed up from Korea in Los Angeles after, or around the, I want to say the 80s. I read the 80s, but I think he told me around like the 70s. I don't know. 70s, 80s. It was definitely after the 1965 Hart-Celler Act, where they changed the rules for immigration. And that, wait a minute, what am I doing? I need my stomach to be flat. Man, I gotta give you the best. I have to make it look like I exercise all the time, like I exercise all day. Yeah. All right. So I met him yesterday. He was just chilling, and then I started hearing him talk about his life. I was eavesdropping, but I was sitting near him, so it was like it was all family. So I just interjected. I'm like, dude, what is your story? What's your name? Let me find you on Instagram. Let me find your webpage. Let me read about you. Oh, you're doing this. You got that. Oh my gosh. To be so young and to have just, man, it was like everything just rolled out for him. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, he's on his way to Cornell. Like, damn, dude. Yo, I'm so envious, man. I'm so envious. Like, it seemed like America just opened up and just led him to the promised land. Why didn't that happen for me? Enough of that about that, though. No, we don't live in regrets. My life has been incredible. It's been magical. Speaking of magical lives, think about the fact that I've traveled to 40 some odd countries. I want to say like 42 countries, but it's been about 40 countries. And I guess I've got about 20 instances when peculiar moments grabbed my attention, and they were related to 109. Let me run them down for you. Number one, I was in South Korea, and then I learned that October 9th is a national holiday in Korea. October 9th is already my birthday, but to have my birthday land on a national holiday, I was like, yo, that's so bizarre, so cool. I appreciate that. And when my birthday rolls around on the calendar, I don't have to work. I can just literally rest. I don't have to plan the day out because I get the day off already. That was so dope. That was the first thing in South Korea. Then the next country, number two, I don't have enough hands, I don't think, to do all of this, but number two, so I was in Japan. And I went to Shibuya. And you know the Shibuya crossing? Everybody knows it. If you've been to Japan, you know Shibuya crossing. So I went to Shibuya crossing, and that's where I saw 109 on the mall, at the top of the mall. The Japanese call it Shibuya Ichi Maru Kyu. Ichi Maru Kyu. Ichi means one, Maru, 0, and then 9 Q. Ichi Maru Kyu. Ichi Maru Kyu. Shibuya Ichi Maru Kyu. Alright, so what else? Ichi Maru Kyu, Shibuya Ichi Maru Kyu. Alright, so after that, after Japan, that was the second time I saw it. Then, alright, maybe you're not convinced about why these numbers are important, so let me give you an example of something different. Just a synchronistic moment that happened to me when I was traveling. Picture it. I'm in China for the very first time. I get lost. How did I get lost? I just figured if I went in that direction, I intuitively remembered my hotel being in that direction. I figured if I just get on a bus that's going in that direction, it'll lead me closer to my hotel. I was wrong. that bus went in that direction initially, and then it turned and went in that direction, and I was like, oh shit. I can't get lost. And I did. I got lost. So I had to jump off of the bus. They don't speak any English. At least no one on the bus spoke English. All Mandarin Chinese. So I was lost. I had to look at the map. My cell phone didn't work. I didn't have Google Translate. I had nothing. I was just all an English speaking American black guy in China with no friends to call upon, with no internet, with no, oh, it was bad. And I was somewhere where there wasn't a subway access easily. So I went across the street and took the bus going back in the opposite direction. Same bus line, just a different on the other side of the street. And then I finally reached some place that was slightly familiar, where I had initially picked up the bus. And then I was like, I'm not doing that again. I'm not riding a bus in China ever again. Not doing that. So I had to walk. I was in Beijing, China. I had to walk all the way to get to the, what's that called? I had to walk all the way to get to the subway station. When I got to the subway station, I still wasn't near my hotel, but I at least had the subway map to figure out which subway station to get off at to get back to the hotel. So at least I felt safer that way, because all I had to do was just follow the train lines. So I followed the train lines back to a place that was familiar to me. And when I did that, when I knew where I was and when I got my bearings, I was like, okay, I'm safe. I know where I am. I'm good. It was at that moment that when I felt good about where I was and I felt comfortable about where I was no longer lost. It was that moment when I found myself, found my location, and I was walking out of the subway station and I walked up. It was that moment when I walked up and I saw a Chinese dude wearing a ball cap that had the letters that had my personal initials, LAW, on the side of his hat. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a coincidence. What a synchronistic moment to have found myself at the same time that I find someone wearing a ball cap with LAW, my initials on it. That's synchronicity. That's a huge coincidence. That was unbelievable. That actually happened in China, in Beijing, China. So my thing is like, these are my stories. So whenever I see 109, I get those warm and fuzzy feelings, just like I did when I was in Beijing and I saw my initials, because it was like, oh my gosh, I found myself. Like, how did those letters, those initials find me? It was perfect. How did these numbers find me? It was perfect in that particular moment. One more story. I have other stories. I'm going to just leave you with the third story. This happened to me in England. No, not England, in Ireland, okay? I'm wearing my green. Ireland. So there I was in Ireland. I went to a restaurant. I went to this restaurant for the very first time in my life, because I was in Dublin, Ireland for the very first time in my life. I sat down to eat. I had a burger. It was delicious. And it was a cheeseburger. And I had hot English mustard. Oh, I love hot English mustard. I discovered I really love hot English mustard when I was in Ireland. French fries, and a Guinness stout. I ate my meal. I drank my Guinness. I puffed on a cigar, and then that was my experience. The first meal in Ireland. They brought me my receipt, and I was customer number. True story, y'all. I'm Larry Wiggs. These are the stories of 109. iSee109.